the 1996 campaign finance scandal. Things did not look good for the Clinton administration in early 1995. Newt Gingrich and his contract with America had pulled off one of the biggest landslides in American congressional history during the 1994 midterm elections, and another 4 years of Clinton in the White House was not a sure thing. Faced with those long odds and the prospect of running the most expensive campaign in history, money started flowing into the Clinton war chest in historic amounts. But not all of it was legal. And as you will see, Clinton critics see a pattern of behavior extending from 1996 right to the present day. Charlie Tree was a Little Rock restaurant owner who befriended Bill Clinton when he was governor of Arkansas. According to Senate testimony, Tree donated $460,000 to the Clintons' Legal Defense Fund in 1996. The sum was divided into $1,000 increments, some on sequentially numbered money orders with different names, but all with the same handwriting. The executive director of the Legal Defense Fund later testified that he warned First Lady Hillary Clinton and Harold Ickes about the suspicious nature of the donations. At the time, Ickes was Deputy White House Chief of Staff. Now he is a senior strategist to Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. But despite the warning, nothing was done to investigate the source of Tree's money to the fund or to the Democratic National Committee. It wasn't until questions were raised by Congress in late 1996 that the Clinton campaign began responding to questions about Mr. Tree. But that was only the beginning. Using straw donors, Tree had funneled hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Democratic National Committee, much of it originating overseas in the People's Republic of China. In return, associates with Charlie Tree had meetings with high-level Clinton administration officials, including the president, the vice president, and Commerce Secretary Ron Brown. Tree fled the United States in 1996, but returned in 1998 to plead guilty to violating campaign finance law. One of the Democratic fundraisers that Tree was connected to was a man named John Wong. In 1995, Wong raised more than $3 million for the Democratic National Committee. He had worked in the Clinton Commerce Department and at one time been an employee of the Indonesian Lipo Bank. The son of the owner of that bank was a man named James Riotti, who, along with Wong, made almost 100 visits to the White House during the time Wong worked for the DNC. It would be reported years later that both Riotti and his father had close ties to the Chinese military intelligence. According to the Justice Department, Wong and Riotti were involved in a scheme through which campaign donations were reimbursed by the Lipo Group and its foreign subsidiaries dating back as far as the 1992 campaign. They both pleaded guilty to illegally using foreign funds to finance the Clinton campaign. Riotti was forced to pay a fine of more than $8 million, at the time the largest fine ever paid for violating campaign finance law. Perhaps the most colorful of the campaign finance scandal characters was a man named Johnny Chung, nicknamed the Hustler by some staffers at the Democratic National Committee. Chung was a California businessman who attended some of the Commerce Secretary Ron Brown's trade missions in Asia. Chung donated more than $300,000 to the Democratic National Committee between 1994 and 1996, and during that time, he made approximately 50 visits to the White House. 21 of those visits were made to the First Lady Hillary Clinton's office, and during one of them, Chung gave a $50,000 check to Margaret Williams, her chief of staff. Williams, you will remember, was also a central figure in the investigation into the apparent suicide of White House counsel Vince Foster. Mrs. Clinton later said Williams should not have accepted the check and that Chung should not have been allowed to visit. Chung detailed exactly how his quid pro quo with the White House officials went during a 1999 interview on Hannity and Combs.
Well, what happened is I tried to go to my point person, which is Mr. Richard Sullivan of the DNC. And he tried to play hard to get for me. So I went directly to the Maggie Williams office at the 100 OEOB of the White House. What happened is I gave them my wish list, and I talked to them about it. And Maggie Williams' secretary, Evan Ryan, come to me and said, First Lady have a Christmas 1994 debt to the DNC, and well, $80,000. I said, well, I'd be very happy to put it up $50,000 for that. And then this is my wish list.
Chung also told investigators that in some instances, the money he donated originated with the head of the Chinese military intelligence. His claims were denied by the Chinese government, and Chung was eventually convicted of bank fraud, tax evasion, and 2 counts of violating campaign finance law. These 3 episodes are drawing comparisons to 2 stories from just the past few months. The first is that of Norman Chu, the fugitive California businessman who raised millions of dollars for Democratic candidates, including Hillary Clinton, funneling much of it through straw donors at this house in Northern California. And then there is this recent Los Angeles Times story about how dishwashers in New York's Chinatown donated the maximum amount allowed by law and then were nowhere to be found when the paper went to look for them. Critics say it's 1996 all over again, but you have only heard part of this story.